Well, that's two preseason games down and only one to go. And since the time you started watching this video, the New York Jets have just taken another penalty. Let's talk about it. Well, welcome back to New York Sports Wicker Media. I am Watu-K99, and thank you for taking the time to watch this video. So what we're going to talk about is the Jets' second preseason game of the 2022 NFL season. Last night at MetLife Stadium against the Atlanta Falcons in a rain-soaked stadium. For those of you who actually went to the game and stayed to the end of the game, God bless you. That's all I could say. So I watched the game with the Virginia Jets fans at one of the guys' houses. I brought the fried chicken. My friend Tommy brought the Little Caesars pizza, of which I did not partake. I have standards for my pizza. What can I say? And only one shot of Fireball was consumed by all of us. But it was we definitely had a fantastic time, and definitely got my thoughts about this game. First and foremost, apparently you have to give the Jets 30 minutes before they decide to start playing football. Okay, so clearly the Jets are going to be a second-half team. I don't know what it was, but right now I think the Falcons came out wanting to prove something to the Jets. You know, the Jets basically whipped them for 2 straight days in these scrimmages. The Falcons played their starters for multiple series. Marcus Mariota played 3 series in this game, you know, whereas the Jets were using Mike White. So the Falcons wanted to make a statement, and they probably did early on. And then the Jets came back in the second half. So I don't want to overreact to certain things, but there are certain things to be alarmed about, and I think there's a couple of things to feel good about. So I'm going to start with a couple of the positives first. Lawrence Cager just continues to look better and better. I still don't know how much I trust him. I don't know if he's getting a spot on the 53, but the more I'm seeing of him, the more I'm thinking if they cut him and try to sneak him through, he is going to get claimed. I don't think Cager is an every down tight end by any stretch of the imagination. He has to prove he can block. But it might be a situation where he's one of those, you know, inactivated players for many games. But if you do play him, you could give him a couple of plays. But we got to see him actually block if he's going to be a tight end, especially if he is the 4th tight end, you know, behind Uzama, Conklin, and Ruckert. But I loved his speed in the open field. You know, it was a beautiful thing to watch on that touchdown. Jonathan Marshall. You know, this is a player that I was starting to feel down about. I thought could be a surprise cut. And this was far and away his most impressive game as a Jet. He had a sack, 2 tackles for a loss, including 2 impact plays back-to-back. We were really starting to see that speed and that explosiveness and that RAS score that led Joe Douglas to drafting him with his last pick last year. So I was very pleased to see what Marshall was able to do. I think he knew he had to make an impact, and we started to see it tonight. So kudos to him. Garrett Wilson, you know what? We only saw so much of him, but I really liked his body control when he went up for one particular pass. I started to feel more and more I'm more and more excited about what he can do. That his athletic ability will just beat out some of these other defensive backs. He is going to be very, very capable. He's just a very different type of wide receiver. You know, ESPN was comparing him to Lynn Swann with his grace, with his coordination. And that's not a type of wide receiver we're really used to seeing the Jets have. We're used to a lot of very fast, shifty receivers or very big receivers. You know, Wayne Corbett on one hand, Brandon Marshall on another hand. You know, when we have a good receiver, it's usually not this type of athleticism. I think this is something we're going to have to get used to, and it's going to be exciting to watch. Michael Clemens, enough said. But the run defense, I thought, was even more impressive than his pass rushing ability in this game. He drew a penalty. He plays physically. He plays aggressive. More encouraging signs, and I'm glad that we saw back-to-back performances where Clemens was a positive contributor. Tanzel Smart, Still trying to make a case to make the team. I don't know if he's going to, but I do like what I'm seeing. Will Parks, one of the things that we talked about was the safety battle. I've been talking about it. A lot of my fellow Jets content creators have been talking about it. Who's going to step up and claim that safety job? Don't know if Will Parks is ready to be a starter, but I got to tell you, he made more of an impact, I thought, than Joyner, Pinnock, Davis. He had some really hard hits, and I thought he had a pretty solid game. I don't know. I don't think there's any way that the Jets can go with just 3 safeties. I've heard some people think if you're going to take away a position so that you could have more players at, say, defensive line or offensive line or tight end, you got to take something away from a position. I really think the Jets have to go safety by committee here and just see who emerges between Joyner, Pinnock, and Parks. And if that means Ashton Davis has to go bye-bye, you know what? I felt like I barely noticed Ashton Davis. I think he was just playing in the second half. I think Davis is basically buried at this point. I think Parks has passed him. So I would keep all 3 of those safeties and just like Coach Westhoff would say, figure it out. Jeff Ulbrich, let's figure it out. Who's going to emerge? Bradley and I, credit for the sack, the fumble, and the return for the touchdown. I don't expect him to make the roster, but he had his moment. And I got to tell you, I am really liking Jamion Sherwood. Big 3rd and goal stop. He's clearly the successor to C.J. Mosley. In fact, this time next year, my prediction is Jamion Sherwood will be the starting middle linebacker for the New York Jets. I'm saying that right now. On the negative side with individual performances, it hurts me to say this because I really like the guy, but Bryce Hall, oh my God, it was painful to watch. We learned Bryce Hall cannot cover Kyle Pitts, and there's no shame in that. Kyle Pitts is a freakish athlete, but he couldn't even cover this guy Zacchaeus. I mean, Hall with a penalty, a missed tackle, he got toasted against Kyle Pitts. It was just a horrific game. Just all around, bad. So he's going to have to really take this as a learning experience. We know Bryce Hall at this point will be the 3rd or 4th outside corner. I still think he's better than Brandon Echols, but it's hard to make that case right now. It was a very painful performance to watch from number 37. I really hope he comes back from this. I really do. Trevon Wesco, 2 more penalties. Enough. I've had enough of Trevon Wesco. Goodbye. Good luck in your next life. I do not need to see him as a Jet ever again. Chris Streveler is just better than Mike White right now. Mike White did not have the touch on his passes. He was not accurate when he throws the ball more than 10 or 15 yards. I'm not saying Chris Streveler is a great quarterback, but I am saying I would take him as my 3rd quarterback over Mike White. Enough. Another thing that bothered me was the run blocking by the offensive line. Breece Hall got 4 carries for 1 yard. And it's not because he didn't know what he was doing. There was really nothing for him to run to. So I know that none of the starting offensive linemen played in this game. I understand that, but I was very disappointed in the run blocking. I will say, no sacks allowed by the offensive line. Isn't that something to get excited about? I am. How many years have you and I been watching Jets football, particularly these preseason games, and these backups on the offensive line? I mean, it's like Swiss cheese out there. But White never got sacked. Streveler never got sacked. That's something that I feel good about. The offense with Mike White, 5 drives, 4 punts, not good enough. Do you realize the Jets' leading rusher last night was Chris Streveler with 33 yards, and their second leading rusher was Michael Pirine with 10 yards? Ooh, yeah, but we got to get those starting offensive linemen back in. And I did like that Coach Salas said that the starting offensive linemen would be playing against the Giants for a good portion of the game this coming Sunday afternoon. So I will be looking at that run game, because these guys haven't had any reps together yet. This offensive line is going to have to come together and come together quickly, really quickly, to be ready for the Baltimore Ravens. So, the New York Jets have just taken another penalty. Yeah. 24 penalties in this game, 13 by the Falcons, 11 by the Jets for over 100 yards. I don't know if these officials were getting paid by the flag, but this game just dragged on. it was rather painful. It was rather painful. So as far as injuries go, you know what? Didn't go too horribly. Irvin Charles looks like he banged up his wrist. Tariq Black was looking pretty good, but he's being evaluated for a concussion. But nothing pivotal, nothing that's going to keep us up late at night. So when you look at it from that perspective, I guess it's a pretty successful night if you want to look at it that way. All right, well, on to the next game. It's going to be against the Giants on Sunday afternoon. So I'll be back with more content soon from you know where, the Wicker Chair. Please like, share, and subscribe if you like it. I appreciate it.